All right, we are live. It is Thursday night. That means it's Mastery Chat night. It's also Thanksgiving here in the States, but it's Mastery Chat night. That takes the cake over everything else. I am Jeff Gargas with the Teach Better team. I've got our special guest, moderator Jared Hamilton, with me here. We're about to recap tonight's Mastery Chat, so don't go anywhere. Stick around. We'll be right back. All right, Jared, my friend, it was awesome having you lead the chat, and we were just talking before we went live. I really love the topic. It was really great, really cool to see the creativity and the crossover and the interdisciplinary things that are going on. It was really neat to see the passion behind math and the arts and just this integration together. So that was really, really cool. How are you feeling right now after the chat, man?
Pretty.
Ooh.
The level of participation I thought was absolutely amazing, and I loved everything everyone was sharing. I was trying my best to sort of keep up with the chat, see everyone's responses, share, do a retweet. It was absolutely great.
Awesome. Yeah, it was really good. So for anybody who maybe has not been connected with you, maybe tonight was the first time they got connected with you through the chat, or maybe they're watching right now and this is the first time they're actually connected with you because they couldn't even get in the chat. Can you give us sort of the rundown, like who is Jared Hamilton, where you at, what do you teach, what's your background, and what do you got going on?
Well, I've been a teacher for over a decade. I've been very fortunate. I have a diverse background. I've been all over the province of Alberta, British Columbia. I actually had a stint where I got to go teach in England.
Okay.
I'm really big into the digital education scene. So like I've done collaboration projects with students in the Philippines for professional development and teaching as well. Also in areas in South America. My background is mathematics and computer technology. So a huge math nerd, coding, robotics, all that fun stuff. And some of the projects I've been really big into lately is sort of, I guess, kind of around that universal design for learning and access points around equity.
Mm-hmm.
Like you think about teaching math one way, maybe like the way we learned math growing up, like with the symbols, we write out the algorithms. You get that kind of divide. You can do math or you can't do math. I'm good at math or I'm not good at math. And then you start thinking, okay, but what if we did it this way, or what if we started showing this? What if I taught a lesson like this and I got every single kid participating, even if they were like counting by ones, like, okay, but they get what they're doing, they understand what I want them to do.
Yeah.
And then you start looking for ways like, hey, how can we kind of shove them along or develop their number sense or get them thinking of better strategies, or sometimes the opposite. Maybe they come around, they do something, and you stare, you think, I never would have thought of that until this 12-year-old showed me what they were thinking.
Yeah, I love that. I love that thinking. If you are watching right now, make sure you jump in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from, both geographically and on what platform, because we are on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube right now. Nikki's here. Says this was one of my favorite Master Chat. Wow, that is saying a lot right there. I think I lost Jared just for a second there. He was shaking up a little bit. Hopefully he gets back. Nikki, that's saying a lot. Because you've been in a lot of chats, so I'm hoping we get Jared back in here in a second here. Olivia, good to see you. Great talk. Here you go. I got him back. Here we go. Let's see here. He's connecting back here real quick, and he's back.
Sorry about that, Jeff.
All good. I was about to ask Olivia, like, what's going on with
my
this
internet
BC
my internet signal
connection?
just went out and then right back on again.
Yeah, you're frozen right now. You're kind of back and forth a little bit. Oh, there, now you're back. I was just commenting that Nikki said it was her.
Perfect.
It was her favorite Master Chat. She's been on a lot of Master Chats. That's not to be taken lightly. That's awesome. So great to see you, Nikki. I love that. Olivia, great to see you as well. So where are you you're in BC, Jared?
Yeah, I'm up in northern British Columbia right now. I'm
Okay.
trying to think here. We're about maybe a 5-6 hour drive if we wanted to get into the Alaska. So we're north in Canada.
Okay, gotcha. I've been to Vancouver Island before, and it was just we flew into Vancouver, did a little jump over the lake there into the island. Spent about a week there, just gorgeous. My family, we go up to north of Toronto every year as well. So I have a lot of
Hmm.
a big place in my heart for Canada and all of it. So we're severely missing
Hmm.
Canada this year. So we love when we have our Canadian friends on. So let's talk about your topic. So the topic was teaching competencies through arts integration into mathematics. When you were coming up
Hmm.
with the topic and the questions and putting this together, what was kind of going through your head? What were you hoping that people were going to either take away, discover, get through? Like, what was the goal? Like, what were you hoping people were going to get out of the
Hmm.
questions and the conversation tonight?
Um, I think a lot of it I look at is, I mean, the first part I think is thinking of different ways to teach mathematics. There's a lot of literature and research going out now saying that, the way we think of mathematics, it's a very set viewpoint.
Hmm.
Like this is sort of one person's culture of mathematics, but this is just truly represent the world. I was also trying to think about like just multiple points of assessment. I mean, we think about math. Well, did you get the right answer? Yes or no? Work backwards. Or like I remember how I used to hear teachers say, like I go to the back of the textbook and get the answer, and then I figure it out from there. Um, but versus some of those other competencies we talk about, like, well, what's their team situation?
Hmm.
Um, when we look at some of the things like what are they creating? Like, yeah, like they can take the algorithms we do and keep repeating them, but can they actually do something independently with this? Like, what if I change this up? What would their
Yeah.
response be? So that creating element. But also just getting away from the academics, like, and thinking about our social and emotional learning. Like, do they have a passion for this? Like, does it fill them with joy and happiness? Are they making a personal connection to this? So they start thinking like, okay, well, what could I do with math? Are there careers I'd like to do this with? Or, I mean, I'm going to get it outside of careers. I just enjoy going home. I had this big piece of paper. I have all this awesome art. You were talking about these like really cool Pythagorean snails we could make, and I made one. And my art teacher, she taught me Zentangles 3 weeks ago, so I started doing Zentangles on them, and this is what I made. And like just them having that appreciation and
Yeah.
recognition for the hard work that they're doing.
And do you feel like you saw like the answers? Do you feel like the love was there, that people were getting the conversation that you were hoping that it was going to kind of spark, and was it there? Was there anything that surprised you or got you really fired up in a good way through the comment or through the tweet stuff? I don't expect you to remember any specific answers or anything like that. There was a lot of them, but like just in
Mm-hmm.
general, like themes or things like that was going that you just kind of like lit you up in a positive way, or maybe shocked you a little bit or anything like that tonight.
I mean, there's always ideas where you think like, wow, that is so cool. I mean, some
Hmm.
of the ideas the elementary teachers were sharing. Um, I don't really think anything shocking. I mean, arts integration to mathematics is nothing new. I mean, really, when you get back to the research of it, like this is as old as the 1970s.
Hmm.
But it was definitely firing up, seeing like how many participants were already doing it. These were their ideas, their
Yeah.
projects, and especially the connection part. That idea of, do my students really understand what they were doing? I got them to create something based on those competencies and those curriculum I taught them.
Yeah.
And like that's a really powerful product and process to get the students to say, I know what I'm doing here. I'm understanding what I'm learning and I'm enjoying what I'm learning. So for me, it was just really exciting, for a full hour. I mean, I'll be honest, my thumbs are still catching up with me from all the typing and responding and retweets. But like, how many people are using this in their education and in their classrooms?
Hmm. Yeah, that was awesome to see. And like you already mentioned, just the different examples and ways that they're combining them stuff is
Mm-hmm.
just really cool to see. Um, I love I always love to throw. I'm looking over here because I have your questions up over here. I always love to throw the questions at our moderators to get because we already saw you answer over on Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
but I like to get the real time live version answer and allow you to elaborate more. So I'm gonna throw one at you. Let me see which question I want to throw at you in here. Ah, I'd really like to actually know this part, because I don't know if I actually saw this answer of yours come through. Question four, you asked, think back to math class when you grew up. What was your mindset around mathematics? So, what was yours? Have you always been this passionate? Was it hard for you when you were a kid, or what was it like for you?
I mean, it's hard to say because you're going back to your childhood and you're kind of, trying to connect the conversations you have with your parents, like with my mother.
Yeah.
But I mean, I never felt that I got mathematics or that I was good at it or I saw any point in it. To me, it was a worksheet. It was time. You filled it out. You handed it in. You made your corrections. For me, it was around grade 10 that I think I really started to get some buy-in. I was learning different things. I was picking up on some patterns, unique ways of doing mathematics. And I think my grade 10 teacher was the first person who actually, broke that mold of, so I taught you step one, step two, step three, step four, and you did it. I don't even want to look at what you did. Go back to what I showed you, because that's what I'm marking you on. Who
Yeah.
actually looked at it and said, okay, but why'd you do it that way? Or why'd you think of it that way? Or I love these diagrams you're drawing to get to that part there. Um, or picked up on some of my doodles that I was doing when I probably should have been writing notes or paying attention, and actually kind of
Yeah.
saying like, like, where did you learn how to do this line thing to make all those curves and stuff like that, and the linear part. And I don't know, I like to think it was a moment where you had that appreciation and recognition of what you were
Yeah.
doing, and then you started getting that sort of confidence build and ideas for what you could do with it, and that sort of led me to having a really good year in grade 11 and 12, going to university. I majored in mathematics and computer science, so I had a double major before I decided to go into education, my third degree. Um, and then it just kept building on itself. I mean, I finished my
Yeah.
master's in mathematical leadership, transformational leadership around mathematics, degree number 4. I'm getting my PhD in mathematical curriculum, and it was a defining moment for me. And
Yeah.
I really like it too, because sometimes it's a perspective. Like, I get sometimes to meet with colleagues, and we'll talk at professional development sessions, and like the way you broke that down, like you took this complicated math concept and you did it like this. Like, why did you think to do it that way, or why did you think my kids would understand that? And
Hmm.
and I sometimes get that reflective statement where like, were you ever stupid in mathematics, or like has people to say stupid, or you weren't good at it, or something like that? And they're like, well, no, I always did good at it. I'm like, okay, so I was the kid who never got mathematics. So like I have a different mindset, being I think both
Hmm.
sides of the line,
Yeah.
to say I feel confident in taking it to a higher level, but I also know how to go backwards to say, you can look at that student and say, where's their access point? How do you present this to them? Like, give them these pieces where you'll get
Yeah.
them participating, thinking, doing, understanding, and then you always cross your fingers. They take that leap and do something with it, where you're just like, you've got this. Don't stop. Keep going.
No, I love that. I mean, it's just, I mean, it's all we talk about all the time. That's meeting them where they're at, figuring out where they're
Mhm.
at, not just expecting them to do it the way we always did it. Um, I love that. Allison's always loved when Mastery Chat takes on math. So thankful for this week's topic. Got me fired up again after a challenging 2020 year. Wow, I love that, Allison. That is awesome. Super excited to hear that. That's great. I'm gonna throw another one at you. Let's see which one I want to throw at you. I don't want to keep you all night, but I want to throw one at you, and then we'll probably get ready to wrap up here. Let's see. Actually, let me go. Question 7: how can we use arts integration into mathematics as evidence of student progress and learning? Can you let's hear, how did you answer that, and then go ahead and just elaborate on it for us, if you don't mind.
Um, well, I think the big part for me here is that I think it really depends on what your assessment strategies are.
Hmm.
I try to go, like, myself personally, like I work within triangulation assessment. So when I'm working with students, like that feedback in the moment, I look at conversations, observations, product, everything as a moment of evidence of learning. But I also think it kind of gets into the idea of where I like tying it into the gradeless classroom. Like, how do we get these kids away from grades and we just get them thinking about what their learning is? Why are they doing this? Why does it matter to them? um, and building on some of those like other competencies other than their academic success. So like, do you feel confident in what you're doing? Do you recognize that you're getting better? Do you feel recognized for the work that you're giving us in our classroom? And so social emotional outcomes, which I really get big on, is like, well, do you feel joy in what you're doing? Does this make you happy? Do you see yourself in what you're doing here? Like, where would you go next? Or uh, did what I give you sort of an access and a gateway where maybe you went home and you had a conversation with your family, and then you came back to the class the next day and say, hey, you know what I learned? Or like what my grandma shared with me, or what my mom did, or I just realized, we do all these activities like canning or quilting, cooking, or I work with my dad. in the garage. And I clicked in, like, this is exactly what you were talking about and like why we do it this way. So for me, I mean, assessment's all about participation and authentic participation. It's kind of like, well, you give these students these worksheets. Okay, they don't care about the worksheets. They completed them all, and then I took them home and I marked them. And I'm like, these are horrible. It's like they didn't even listen to me. They didn't look at their notes. Like, they have no idea what's going on. But then you build on those other emotions and you realize, well, what did you think you were going to get before you marked them? So
it's a great reflection question. Yeah.
it builds into that idea of, access points, that they're all learning. They all have a way to do something.
Yeah.
But when you get that buy-in that this is something they care about and they want to do, and then you start looking at learning and you say, something, I have something here. And again, because it's a product that we're building in the classroom, it's a teamwork, it's a conversation, it's things that we're always looking at. It gets away from that idea of, well, fill out these worksheets, I'll take them home, I'll mark them and give them to you a week later. Like, no, we're talking about this in the moment. I'm talking to my students about it. They're talking to me. They're talking to each other. They're giving their feedback. They're giving their reflections. So the learning we're talking about is live and in the moment, rather than a friend of mine made a really good quote one day. I'm trying to remember it. He says, a great book is like an autopsy. The learning is dead and you're trying to find out what went wrong. Like we're dealing with this now and in the moment. And to me, like that's the most powerful type of learning and reflection on the experiences we get, or when they happen in the classroom right then and there.
Oh, I love it, Jared. I'm gonna give you a chance for one last thought to leave everyone with before we go. I do want to mention, though, for anybody who's watching, just want to mention this. We do have our Black Friday sale going on all week right now, 50% off swag and courses. Just use I Am Better for all that. I actually saw a ton of them come in today. It was awesome. That's still going. More importantly, tomorrow morning, Ray will be live. Ray with Dave Schmittou and the amazing Brandon Beck for our daily drop-in tomorrow. Daily drop-in's happening every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We're going until at least December 18th. We'll see if we go beyond that, what happens there. So super excited about that. Make sure you join them tomorrow morning. Really appreciate you being here tonight and joining us and getting into this chat with Jared. Jared, if I'm going to give you got the mic right now. You got people listening. What would you leave everyone with tonight for them to take home, whether from the chat or just something you just love to share, or you want people to feel, to hear, whatever it might be? It's the stage is yours, my friend.
It's this is a topic sometimes where I think we were fortunate in the chat that the majority of the people were doing it, they got it, they loved it, they have it. But I mean, I do encounter some teachers who look at this and they're like, I don't see how this is learning, or how do you know they actually got the concepts and stuff like that. And, for me, it's one of those things where it's like, you just need to try it. Like you have to find one of these projects, you have to introduce it with the kids, and you really have to ask those questions, like, well, what did you see here? Or what did you notice? Or what is your connection here? What if I put these numbers on top? It's kind of like the one question where I get transparency out and I put it on top of the work. And it's like, do you see how we're now talking about area models? And it's just one of those things that you start introducing it, but then when you sort of take the switch from being teacher-led to student-led, you start giving them all those choices and all those options and what could you do. It's a powerful and magical form of learning that our students will start sharing with us. It's like the picture I did of the Pikachu where we were solving equations, and I had students who would not do these worksheets at all to practice their 20 facts. And the second I switched over to that model, I had a Pikachu, I had a Paw Patrol, I had like an Easter egg. Like, it's just these students could not make these fast enough. And then all of a sudden we got this question: could I bind these into a book and get you to photocopy them, Mr. Hamilton, so I could share them with other kids in other classes? And it went somewhere that I never even thought of. Like that is such an amazing, like that's awesome. Like community in our school, you want to make worksheets for our young learners. Like, okay, let's get this done. Like, when can we start doing this? How are we going to bind these? And it's just, to me, like, it's having that open mind, and that there's really no limit to where this can go once you get it going and you get the student buy-in.
That is a great way to end it. We're going to end it there. That was awesome. I appreciate you, Jared. Appreciate you being to leading us tonight. It was an awesome chat, and this was a lot of fun. I think everyone's getting a lot of value out of it. So it is Thanksgiving here in the States, and my friend, I am thankful for you and everything you do for your kids, your community, and our community as a whole here as well. So I appreciate you. Everyone who was in the chat, we appreciate you so much. If you were chiming in here, we appreciate you as well. Have a fantastic rest of your night, rest of your weekend. We'll see you tomorrow morning for the drop in, but we appreciate y'all. Have a good one.